Hey guys, it's Gina here at Justice Well Drilling, here to answer another question that we get pretty often from our customers, and that's how do I use my well to fill up my pool, or how do I use my well to water my yard? First thing we need to talk about though is how you figure out what your yield is for your well. So here I've got in my hand is a well tag. The well tag is very important because that tells you what your yield is for your well. You would find your well tag here at your well head on the well casing. It would just be stuck at the top of your well just like that. Now my well does not have a well tag. Your well may not have a well tag. My well doesn't have one because it's 30 years old, 30 plus years old. So back whenever my well was drilled, you didn't have to have a well tag. You may be in the same boat. A good rule of thumb is to try to keep your well flow around 2 gallons per minute. But if you do have a well tag, just make sure it stays less than your yield. So let's say hypothetically that I did have a well tag and it said that my yield was 4 gallons per minute. Then what I would want to do is I would want to try to keep my yield, my flow rate coming out of my hydrant at less than 4 gallons per minute while I was using it to fill up my pool or using it to water my yard. Gina, how do I figure out what that flow rate is? It's not that complicated. All you need is a gallon bucket. So here I've got my gallon size watering can, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go with 2 gallons per minute. That's a pretty safe space to put it in, seeing that my well gives roughly 4 gallons per minute, so that I don't have to worry about my well running out of water quickly. So what I would do is I would just take my watering can and turn my hydrant on. Now let me show you something though. When I first turn my hydrant on, I want you to notice how quick the flow rate is. If I was to just turn my hydrant on full blast, it would fill up a gallon bucket in seconds. I do not want to try to fill up my pool with my hydrant on full blast because I will use all of the water up in my well very quickly and burn my pump up. Now, that's very tempting because it's summertime and Gina's hot and she wants to get her pool filled up as quick as she can. But you don't want to use all the water up in your well and burn that pump up because that's a very costly mistake to make. So for me, I'm just gonna go with a very safe 2 gallons per minute. So with a gallon bucket, that would mean that my flow rate needs to be to the point where it takes 30 seconds to fill up a 1 gallon bucket. So I would just stick it under here, I would turn it on, and I would time it. Now because we're making this video, I don't have a timer on me, so we're just gonna let it go just as an example. But hypothetically speaking, let's say that this takes 30 seconds. Once I get that adjusted and I trial and error with a couple of gallons of water just to get it to where it is giving 2 gallons per minute, then I would hook my water hose up and I would fill up my pool. But I would not leave. I would not run off and do errands. What I would do is I would stay here at the house and I would work in the yard or I would clean the house and I would check on this water hydrant and this water hose constantly, because even though yes, I'm running my well at 2 gallons per minute and it's way below the yield, I still run the risk of burning my pump up and using up all the water if I'm not careful. If I do come out here, let's say I came out here and it's been running for a few hours, but I have a slow trickle coming out of my hydrant. If that happens and I come out here and I have a water situation that looks something like this, I need to turn that hydrant off immediately and I need to cut the power off to my pump and just let it sit for a few hours, because you're running dangerously close to using up all the water in your well, which could potentially burn your pump up if you're not careful. So you're fine as long as you get that hydrant turned off and you get that pump turned off before you completely run out of water. You're fine. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to call our office. Also, if you have any questions that you would like us to answer for you, please feel free to comment below in this video and we'll be glad to make another video for you to answer your questions. Thank you.